Hello, fourth graders. Today we're going to continue on with our measurement unit, lesson 3. I can express metric capacity measurements in terms of a smaller unit. I can model and solve addition and subtraction word problems involving metric capacity. So guys, when you hear this word, capacity, we're talking about measuring liquid. All right? And when we're talking about these smaller units, there's a unit called milliliters, and then there's just liters. So milliliter, this is really tiny. That's the smaller unit. Liter would be that base unit, but that's much bigger than a milliliter. And the one thing that you really have to remember is that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. All right, so let's get started. Have some fun with capacity. All right, I'm going to show you again that wonderful diagram that explains the different parts of the measurement. We have kilo is king. Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. So each of those red letters represents the kilo, hecto, deca unit is the base unit, meter, liter, and grams, deci, centi, and milli. Again, meter is measurement, liter is the capacity, the liquid, and the gram is the mass, the weight. So anytime that we're going to go to the right, that is basically we're multiplying by 1,000. And then anytime that we're going from the smaller unit to a larger unit, we are going to be dividing by 1,000. So you would think it would be the other way around, but no. Again, here we go, like that fractional part, and this is the whole part, right? And there's that base unit. Okay, so let's get started and see how some of this works out in action. All right, here we go. We're going to complete this conversion table. Now remember, let's get our thing up here, our reminder. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. You have to remember this is a very important conversion here. That will help you. All right, so 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. Well, what about 8? 8 liters is equal to 8,000 milliliters, because each time we're going to be multiplying by 1,000 because we're going to the right of that diagram that I taught you, so we're going to multiply. Or if we're going to go to the left, we would divide. So now we have 27 liters. Well, that would be 27,000 because we're multiplying by 1,000. Now over here, we are actually 39,000 milliliters. So now we're going from that smaller unit to a larger unit, which is liters. So in that case, we are going to be dividing by 1,000. And when we do that, we get 39 liters. All right, now we have 68 liters. How much do we have in milliliters? Well, we have 68,000 because we're multiplying that direction. The last one is 102,000 milliliters. All right, so we're going from that smaller unit to a larger unit. So we're going to the left. And in that case, again, we're going to be dividing by 1,000 because we're going back to liters. And that means we have 102 liters. All right, we're going to convert these measurements all into milliliters, these top 4, and then we have to break them up into this part, into liters and then milliliters, whatever is left over. All right, so 5 liters and 850 milliliters. Okay, so now we're going to take that 5 liters and we are going to multiply it by 1,000 to get 5,000. And then we're going to add on that 850, that extra milliliters. And we're going to get 5,850 milliliters. Letter B, 29 liters and 303 milliliters. So I'm going to multiply by 1,000. And we get 29,000 plus the extra milliliters to bring us to a grand total of 29,303 milliliters. Next part, 37 liters. We're going to multiply by 1,000 because we're getting back to milliliters. So that will be 37,000 plus our extra 37. So we'll have 37,037 milliliters. The next one says 17 liters and 2 milliliters. So we're going to take that 17, convert it to milliliters, which will multiply by 1,000 to get to 17,000 plus the extra 2 milliliters. So we get a grand total of 17,002 milliliters. All right, now we need to take this part and we need to make it into the mixed measurements. So we have 13,000 milliliters, and we need to convert that into liters. So in that case, remember, we're going to divide by 1,000 because we're going back to liters. Divide by 1,000 to get to 13. And what's left over is this part, 674 milliliters. And the last one is the same thing. We have to take that 275,000 and we're going to divide it by 1,000 because they want us to take us from a milliliter to a liter, which would give us 275 liters. And how much is left over is 5 milliliters. So there you go. This time you just got to remember, guys, that 1,000, which way you're going. If you're going from big to small, you're going to multiply by 1,000. If you're going to go to small to big, we're going to divide by 1,000. And a perfect way to remember that is to use that King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk to help us go back and forth. All right, the next one is 27 liters, 576 milliliters plus 784 milliliters. So they're asking us to make this into a smaller unit. And the smaller unit between liters and milliliters, remember, is milliliter. It sounds like mini-me, very tiny, milliliters, very small amount. So let's line these up, and I'm going to put 27 liters, 576 milliliters plus 784 milliliters. All right, and we're going to add these up. So what do we get? We get, put down the milliliters, 4 plus 6 is 10, carry the 1. We get 16, carry the 1. And then we get 13 on that side. And then we get 27 liters on this side. So now automatically what I see, I need to pull out 1,000 milliliters. I can't leave my answer like this. So I'm going to pull out 1,000 milliliters and give it 1 liter to the other side, because 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter. So once I do that, I pull out 1,000. I'm left with 360 milliliters. And when I pull out 1,000, I need to give this guy 1 liter. So now I'm left with 28 liters and 360 milliliters. But that's not answering my question. I now have to take this and make it into a smaller unit. So let's take this one and put it back into milliliters. So if I'm going back to milliliters, going liters to milliliters, we're going to multiply it by 1,000. So 28,000 plus, what's your extra milliliters? 360 gives us 28,360 milliliters. So there you go. All right, this one is asking us to answer in mixed units. So in that case, we're going to have liters and milliliters together. All right, so, and we're going to be subtracting. So here we go. We have 9 liters, and we have 213 milliliters on this side. And we're taking away 638 milliliters. And we're subtracting. Automatically, you see that here's a bigger number from a smaller number. Can't do that. So we're going to have to go next door and borrow from the liters. And remember that there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So when you take a liter away from here, you need to give 1,000 over here. All right, so let's try it. I'm going to take away 1 liter, which gives me 8 liters, which is now the milliliter side. I'm going to have to give that 1,000 to this one. So now this becomes 1,213 milliliters. And now I can subtract. So we have milliliters over here. All right, and we need to borrow. So this basically becomes, all right, so I'm going to make this into an 11, and this one into a 10. But we're going to need to borrow again. Let's make this one 13. So in the ones we have a 5, 10s we have a 6 and a 5, and then an 8. So 8 liters, 565 milliliters. And guys, I'm sorry, I have to make a correction, okay? This really was an 11, and then I took it away to make it a 10. Okay, so now we got to fix this, and this is going to be a 7. So sorry about that. All right, so we've now got 8 liters, 575 milliliters, and we can leave it like this because it's saying a mixed unit. So we can have a liters and we can have a milliliters in this answer. Again, I'm sorry for the little mix up there, but I went back and corrected it, learned from my mistakes. Okay, the last example for tonight is a word problem. At football practice, the water jug was filled with 18 liters, 530 milliliters of water. At the end of practice, there were 795 milliliters left. How much water did the team drink? All right, so now if I'm looking at this, and I really have to study this because I want to make a tape diagram, we see that the water jug was a total of 18 liters, 530 milliliters of water. That's our, this is our grand total. And at the end of practice, there was 795 milliliters left. So they want to know how much did the team drink. So let's build a big tape diagram. And this whole jug was worth 18 liters, 530 milliliters. All right? And they drank, let's make some blue because it is water. They drank all this water. All right? And we know We don't know exactly how much water, but we know this is the part right here is how much is left in that jug. So what we have to do is we have to subtract. So we're going to take 18 liters, 530 milliliters, and subtract 795 milliliters. All right. Now, automatically, you guys should be seeing this, I hope, that we have a smaller number on top from a larger number. So we are going to have to go to the liters and ask for 1,000. Because remember, there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So I need to take a liter and add that to 1,000 over here. So let's get started with that. So I'm going to take 1 liter away, which will give me 17 liters. Add 1,000 to this, which is now 1,530. So now we can subtract. 0 minus 5 we can't do. 3 minus 9 we can't do. 5 minus 7 we can't do. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this away, and this is going to be becoming a 4. So now we have 14. And this one becomes a 13, but we got to borrow again, so it becomes a 12 because we have to get this guy a 1 over here. So we have milliliters. 10 minus 5 is 5. 12 minus 9 is 3. 14 take away 7 is 7. And on this side, we're left with 17. So how much is left? How much did the team drink? They drank 17 liters and 735 milliliters. And in this question, they didn't ask us for smaller amounts. So I'm just assuming we can leave it as a mixed amounts. We are here to learn, to make a difference, and to have fun. Wow, that's a great quote. I hope we all learn to live by it. Okay, first problem tonight. Please convert 39 liters, 302 milliliters to how many milliliters? Next one. 495,032 milliliters is equal to how many liters? And then how much is left over in the milliliters? Express the answer in mixed units. So we can have this in liters and in milliliters. And what do we get when we subtract these two amounts? Today is the day to learn something new. I hope you learned something new today about capacity, milliliters to liters, and liters into milliliters. Have a great night, guys.